Thanks for tuning in, guys. My name is Joe Tate. He is Andre Vexx, and this is HeelBook Universe.
Yeah, let's get started.
Yeah, well, dude, I'm super excited to be here with you. Having someone in the studio in person is like a whole different thing, right? And today is like HeelBook Universe. Like that's an all-encompassing thing that you and I kind of came up with.
Yeah.
I'm super excited to start with you. And first of all, thank you for coming all the way out here, man. I'm super glad to have you here.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for the invite, bro. I loved the whole idea is amazing. I love the idea of HeelBook just being encompassing all of like pro wrestling, and then like we're taking it to a whole nother area, right? Pro wrestling, but also like TV and movies and just whatever's in the ether that we like and we can discuss and talk about. So I'm excited for that. Again, like thanks for the invite. I'm super happy to be in a physical studio, which is like so amazing. It's wonderfully built. I gotta add, it's way different than like, cause I feel like all my collabs have been like StreamYard or Zoom, so it's awesome to be in a physical place.
I'm super glad you're as excited as I am, and I'm like you. All my stuff up until this point, even though it's been in here for me, it's all existed in those other forums, in those mediums, the StreamYards, the Zooms. It's like, I wanted to share this so badly with someone, so I'm just grateful that you're here.
Yeah.
And you mentioned all the types of things we're going to talk about, and you can see it from the graphic, man. It's not obviously wrestling is what brought us together with VPW and like our extreme fandom for the whole thing. But it's not just that. It doesn't stop there. Like we were just talking about before we started rolling, the new Dragon Ball Z Sparking Zero game is out, and we've both played it, and we're both excited about it. It doesn't end there. There's like the new Zelda Echoes of Wisdom that's out that I'm having a blast with playing with my kids with. There's just so much epic stuff out there, and it's not just games either. I know that might be misleading, but you know, we're here for music, fiction, all the things, man, movies, cinema. And I know some of your content has taken place in that realm too. So tell people here like some of the stuff that you get up to in your own time.
Bro, I'm a huge fan of like cinema. I'm a huge fan of comic books. I'm a huge fan of like just anything that's in nerd culture or like geek culture, like which is basically pop culture, right? All of that encompasses like pop culture. So I'm in it, and like you said, like our the main thing that brought us together is pro wrestling, but pro wrestling is all that stuff. Like, man, pro wrestling is like. Somehow it's still like this bastard child of like media. I don't understand it. But yeah, it's video games, it's comic books, it's movies. I mean, like they really encompass all of pop culture. So it's super funny. But yeah, that's what I get into, and that's what I like, and that's what's like brought us together. And you know, speaking of that, Monday Night Raw just happened.
It did. Ooh, it did.
What'd you think about it? What was match of the night for you?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Match of the night. On the show on Unleashed, I said that we had the potential for the women's championship match to be match of the night, and I even anticipated and indeed booked that we were going to get new champions, and that didn't happen.
Yeah.
But I didn't get from the match what I thought I was going to get, and then when I'm thinking about maybe what I would give it to would be the Braun Breaker and the Kofi Kingston. That was a fun one to watch, although I was expecting some shenanigans, and we definitely didn't get it, which was a surprise to me. What were your thoughts on the matches that we got, and how do you feel about Raw back to 2 hours? It's been so long, but we're getting less, a whole hour less, right?
Yeah. So I've got a crazy take on this. I'm happy that Raw's 2 hours again, right? Not as a fan aspect. I would love for wrestling to be like, in my world, wrestling's like a 4-hour show. But 2 hours, I think, is great because I think it lights a fire under people's asses backstage, right? Because you need that TV time,
right?
And you need,
and it's a coveted spot. That TV time is coveted.
So now you're 2 hours, and that means not everybody's gonna get a spot. So that means everybody has to work harder to get on there, to be on there. It kind of like, and then you get like the big three again. So it's kind of interesting to see who's gonna like start filling that spot, who's gonna fight to get on that 2 hour spot. But as we were talking, like cinematically, every time I watch Raw and SmackDown, it looks like it's only
never
getting
been
better.
Yeah, it's never been better than it is from that aspect. And
Yeah.
I love that dichotomy, like between AEW and WWE from a heel book perspective.
Yeah,
like we get a lot more content to talk about, to book, to engage with AEW, because they're kind of like, I've got all this stuff and I'm just going to give it to you. Here it is. And that's great. And it has a great place for us.
For sure.
But like, it's just a different thing when you're watching cinema unfold weekly on WWE.
Bro. And let's talk about, so I've gone through this whole thing where I've been like, very critical of WWE.
I think a lot of us have gone through that.
Yeah. I've been very critical of like talents, and we'll talk about the talents that like I'm critical of. But when I have to step back and also realize like how high of content, how the production value they're giving us, and they're going every single week. You know how hard that is? You know how hard, like TV shows, like what they do like maybe like 20 episodes of something, and then what they're filming like half the year, and then the rest of the year they're off, they're enjoying their families and stuff like that. Where pro wrestlers are just like the production team, the pro wrestlers, they're there like every single night. There's not really an off time.
It's their lives.
So I think like for WWE to like be making that much content, right? And now they're at like the cinematic level of their content. There's gonna be like highs and lows, obviously. So I think like I've just become more understanding of that on everybody's part. Like, man, I'm not saying like it's not okay to point out like flaws when they happen. I think we should always be critical of the media that we're watching, but more or less. I think I bring this up because like it kind of touches on the point of I think somebody was trying to make that there's been like they call them PLEs now, but I'm so used to calling them pay-per-views, that there wasn't enough like black people on like or black wrestlers on the card, which is okay. Yeah, there's something to say about that. Like if you notice that there's been 5 and there's not been a black athlete on there. Okay. But then also on the other hand, we kind of got, well, at least for me, I just got to go like, well, shit, man. There's so many moving pieces. Like, was this like a racial thing, or was this like we have limited time? Not everybody's like popping. Like, we got to go for what we went for, because like from the most part, I think like all the black athletes that are on there, like I mean, like fudge, man. Bianca Belair, she was carrying the women's division for a long time.
Oh yeah.
So like she's got to have. I mean, like if I was her, I would be like, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'll sit out these pay-per-views. Like I've been like almost for like a year or two straight. It's been me carrying the load. Like yeah, I'll do something less than. And like Charlotte Flair, she's not there. She's taking her time because when she's there, she's there. You know, she's carrying the women's division. You know, so I would like I that critical take is like I look at it like, okay, like is this a racial thing, or is this like a they're putting out
the pieces that we have.
Yeah,
is what we're using
like
here.
Think about all the content and on the because you can't only certain wrestlers could phone in wrestling, and those are like the top tier. You really can't phone in wrestling, so you're going 100% each time.
Whenever you're in that ring, I think you have
like
to go.
Yeah. So I think this was a case of wrestlers taking time off or not just being there. It just so happens because. I just don't see it in that sense. And trust me, I can sit here and say like we've seen some wild as in the Attitude Era.
Oh, yeah.
We've seen some wild stuff where we could go like.
If my kids had seen the stuff that I saw at their age, I wouldn't let them watch it.
Yeah, and you know what? Everybody gives the Attitude Era a hard time, but I'm talking about like ruthless aggression, even into like the PG era. Man, there are some things that like one could say like. Yeah, that was kind of racist, man. Let me tell you, there is a whole, I don't know how many Raws he did this for, but there's a whole thing of maybe like a couple months where like Vince McMahon was walking around in a do-rag saying the N-word.
He sure was.
But like,
that's a thing that exists.
That is a thing. So like, there is a time to go like, yo, this is wild, and then there's just it's just the draw. Look at the draw, you know.
That's crazy, man. And we're going to get more into stuff, especially when we're talking about covering the current stuff that we got going on, especially when tomorrow comes.
Yeah.
And AEW, that coverage begins on the app with the game.
Yeah.
Also on Unleashed. And we're just going to have the volume of matches and content just more than doubles when you add
so
AEW
much
to the mix, right? Like
so much,
it's a lot. Yeah. So I do want to talk a little bit about Dragon Ball Z Sparking Zero.
Oh yeah, I totally want to.
No.
I got on my wrestling high horse so fast.
Well,
it's been. I've been waiting to unleash that for a while. So clearly.
So Dragon Ball Z Sparking Zero, you and I both have started, but we've not really started with the campaign. We're not going through the story yet.
Right.
I personally have just been playing matches with friends and or randoms or a combination of the two of them.
Right.
What about the game? So for me, I've never played. I don't want to butcher the name of the series that they're paying homage to. The Budokai.
It's like Budokai or whatever. We know
that one.
Yeah.
I didn't play that one back. So part of their big appeal is like it's harkening back and paying homage. It's that new version of that game for this generation.
Right.
I hadn't played the first one, so this to me is new, and it's already in my heart and my mind, like my favorite fighting game that ever had existed. What is going? It's so good. It's so fluid. It's so snappy. I don't get any errors, no lag, none of that.
Yeah.
And it's such a visual masterpiece to watch and unfold and feel in control of. Wow. What do you think about the game?
Man, yeah. So like, I haven't played the story mode yet. I did play versus like my little nephews and stuff, and man,
destroyed them.
Yeah. I have like my only one thing is like something that's probably going to get solved in like a download pack or something. Is like when you're doing the verses, you only get like the
limited DP.
Yeah, it's like what is that? The cryo chamber? No, it's something. It's called something else. But anyway, you only get that one map in versus. Oh. You only get one map. So hopefully they'll solve that. But yeah, man. And for me, the exciting part for me as a Dragon Ball Z fan is like so much. So I remember I watched a little bit of GT. I only watched a little bit of it because I had a friend that was a little bit older than me, and he was just like, GT's not canon at the time. So I was like, oh, okay. I'm not going to watch this. I'm not going to watch it then. And then Dragon Ball Super, there's a bunch of movies. There's a lot of Dragon Ball content that I saw bits and pieces of. I didn't fully consume. But now with this game, you kind of relive those moments. So it's like a catch up, right? So of all the stories and all the characters. Really
cool. It's like a blast from the past.
Yeah.
You get that nostalgia. And also for me, I'm considering now buying into the Crunchyroll app so that I can kind of go back and relive and watch all these
You're like,
things.
who are these characters?
Right. That part. Because there's so many of them I don't even know. I'm like, okay, great. But meanwhile, I'm playing against guys who know everybody.
Right.
I feel like an idiot.
Right. No. What was it like? There's a character in there. Like my nephews were like, "Oh, that's a Goku Rose or something like that." It's like a Goku with
Rose
Pinky.
Goku. Yeah. What?
I was like, "What? What is this?" And they were like, "Well, it's Goku, but it's not really Goku." And he asked me. I was like, "All right, let's just play this game, dude."
Yeah.
So, I hope like when I get into the story mode, there's going to be there's obviously going to be explanation. It's like a fast, fun catch up. Like you get to play these different characters and like catch up with old characters. Mr. Sane Man and stuff is there. So I was just the fact that Hercule's still in the game makes me happy.
Amazing. Just such staying power for that character. Yeah. Well done. And for me, I'll say if I had to pick a couple of gripes about the game, none of them are gameplay related. I would say some of the user interface stuff has me frustrated. A little bit of the character selection and that incessant lobby timer. You don't get enough time to really cycle through all these characters, 180 of them or something. What are we doing? Give me the freedom to take the timer off or let me or organize them better. But again, not related to the gameplay. And the gameplay is all that matters here.
Right.
It's amazing. It's really good.
So many choices, so many costumes, so many characters. Like I bought the Ultimate Edition thinking like, okay, I'm gonna skate by this. I'm not gonna have to play all this time to get access to all these characters. I got all these characters, but there's still more that you need to play the game to get. So it's just really, really awesome. I'm not sure where they're going to top out at in characters, but it's got to be over like 150 characters in there.
Yeah, I think I've already read something that said 180 in the base.
Oh, wow,
game.
yeah.
and sure, that's including costumes and variants and all that stuff, but still, that's a lot.
That's wild.
And it's a lot to have to cycle through. So I wish there was a bit of organization they can do in that field. But and you know what? That's a perfect segue to The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. Nothing but great things to say about the game, except that I would totally change the way you call out your echoes and cycle through which one you want. That takes up half of my playtime. Is cycling through trying to figure out which echo or echoes I want to use for the situation that I'm in. Have you had a chance to play this?
You know what?
Gameplay?
I've watched some gameplay. I haven't played it, but you know, like it's so wild, man. It's like in my later gaming years, I became a big Zelda fan because I think like I got the Switch, and then Breath of the Wild was like the first game I got, and I played it and I loved it, and I was like, oh man, have I been missing out on this like this entire time?
Something magical about Nintendo, man.
Yeah. You know what? Like and I'm excited for that Switch too whenever it comes out. But
I'm already saving for it. No lie.
But so I haven't played Breath of the Wild 2, but that is on my to-do list. It's in like my cart, as well as the newest Zelda game. But no, I haven't played it, man. And the new one is like, it goes back to its roots, right? Is it like the over the top?
It is kind of like top-down perspective. Yeah. And to me, it's like very few games in the world you can say that like instill instant sort of like prestige.
Yeah.
Legend of Zelda is one of them. And of course, you've got your two camps, like the newer Legend of Zelda fans who like only want to see games made in that legend, in the style of the new ones for the Switch. I forget the name of it.
Yeah, which one's the Breath of the Wild ones?
Yeah. Okay. In the style of the Breath of the Wild ones, and like they won't accept anything else. Like the new Link's Awakening from a couple years ago when they remade it and did it in the same top-down 2D perspective.
Yeah,
I'm not one of those people that fall in the camp of like, oh, it has to be the new style because we're in the new age. No. Give me the 2D all day long if they're quality.
Yeah.
And Nintendo and the folks behind the Zelda games are not going to give you something that's not like steeped in lore and like history. It's so good. And I think you could probably produce those a bit quicker than you can like the bigger ones. But
I think it's like chess and checkers, like, right? Like, so like Breath of the Wild is like definitely checkers, right? Like it's easier to do.
Oh yeah.
And then you have chess, which is like the top down view. Right, it's so it's a simplistic like made game, but for some reason I think like when we see a simplistically made game, we just think it's just that.
We dismiss it.
But there's so much to it that if you actually played it, like if you actually played chess, it's a fun game. There's stuff you gotta learn, but it's a fun game, and it's the same thing with the top down. There's so much lore that goes into that. I think like studios are less likely to waste time and manpower on effects, and they're able to like write a decent story.
100%.
And so now you fall in love with the character, and you definitely see why Legend of Zelda, or Zelda the franchise itself, is a loved franchise. Like I remember, I still have friends to this day that talk about like what is it like the seasons, I think, and then like the what is that the Orica time?
Oh, Ocarina of
Time, right?
Yeah, for sure.
They still talk about these games.
One of the best, yeah.
And then the ones that came out on Game Boy and stuff, I think they had like two different.
They did it like kind of like Pokemon did.
Yeah,
the Four Swords or something like
that. Yeah, those are all like games people love and talk about, and so giving this current generation that version, like, hey, check this out. Like it looks simplistic, yes, but there's a story here, and there's kind of like a way you got to solve puzzles, right?
Within the framework. And that's the same for every game, but I think it's super important to not like, to piggyback off what you're saying, when people see that 2D style, they kind of maybe think there isn't challenge. It comes across cartoony, but that's just not the case. It's still Zelda. It's still Zelda. And, you know, from the perspective of like, Zelda has never been a playable character ever.
Right.
And to have her be starring in her first like premiere game, I mean, it's amazing. It's super fun. I feel happy and young again when I'm going through the game. Like, you can't manufacture that shit. It's magic.
Yeah. It's so funny. Like, I think like it's got that like that cloud of fun, because up until Smash Brothers, I had never played a Zelda game, and I had thought Link was Zelda the whole time.
Oh no!
And so like when you actually like get into the game, like you're already get like an awesome surprise. Like, you've been thinking the wrong thing your whole life. And so I think that's part of like the awesomeness in it. Like, it's like, oh wow,
like it's still 30 years later, like providing surprises and intrigue and fun.
Yeah. So, and it's awesome. There's like she's in the main role now, right? It's kind of like a I don't even want to compare it to that, but I was going to say like it's kind of like a Princess Peach driven game, but they're like so wildly different. I think Princess Peach falls in more of the cartoony area than Zelda. So I don't want to compare, but that's like the only thing I got. But it's good to see like now that she's in like the driver's seat, right? So it's like an even better. So you're actually playing a Zelda game.
Literally, finally. Yeah. And I think they've laid such a groundwork with, because the mechanics of the game are, it's so funny how they're tied to and similar to other games in the Zelda franchise, but at the same time, completely different than anything we've ever seen.
Wildly different.
The ability to have a wand and learn an opponent, an object, a puzzle piece, and then recast it at will to engage in the surroundings based on its own properties. That's never been done in Zelda. It's like, I can't even think of another game that something like this has been done in, let alone a franchise with the caliber of Zelda. It's amazing.
I think like Nintendo's ahead of the curve right now, because I think like I just read an article about how Square Enix is taking a loss from like their last couple of Final Fantasy games, right? And these are like games they spent like money into, like the effects and you know, like the gameplay, turn-based gameplay, trying to evolve these things, where the company Nintendo owns Zelda. Is that like the publishing company? That's their IP. Yep. Well, then Nintendo was like, you know what? Let's take a step back. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's take a step back from trying to do this graphics crazy game, right? And let's just tell a decent story. And so I think like they're ahead of the curve, where like I think these publishing houses, these developers are going to be like, listen, we're losing millions and millions of dollars. Like, let's take a page out of Zelda's book and like see what happens. And it's gonna work, because a lot of people cut their teeth on those games, on those top-down games,
and crave
those,
them
like,
to this day.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And even to piggyback on your point, it's such a great point that, you know, Nintendo's taking a step back and saying, let's tell a better story.
Right. Yeah.
You can, and you said it at the beginning of this podcast, you can draw that parallel. You can make that same statement in professional wrestling.
Yes.
You can look at the ones that are doing that more, rather than putting out the high production, the high quantity, the turning the turn-based mechanic that RPGs are known for, especially from Square Enix, into action adventure games. Listen, I love Final Fantasy 16. It's a great game, but to me, it's not a Final Fantasy.
Yeah. That's the one that plays. I never played it either. I wasn't a fan of it, but it's the one that plays like Devil May Cry, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I never played.
Well, you mean it's not even the same game anymore. And so I'm a shill. Like, I'm gonna buy it anyway. Yeah. But I'm also gonna buy the Octopath Traveler 2.3, whatever they're calling that stuff, and buy that and actually play it.
Right.
Because the money's not wasted on the effects. It's wasted on a solid combat system with great storytelling and writing. Yeah. Those are the important things in games, in media, in wrestling, in all the things.
Most definitely, man. It's just about like who's going to tell the better story.
Yes.
And I think that's like, you know, to like everything always is full circle here, right? So we go back to wrestling, and I think that's one of the cool parts with pro wrestling. Is like now we're kind of telling like these cool stories. I do hate the term now that like Triple H has popularized, because I think it's a cover phrase for like creative has nothing right now. Is when he says, We're doing long-term storytelling, which is like, I'll just be like, bro, just say you don't have anything right now. Don't try to cover it. It's just long-term. It's basically saying like, listen, we're trying to figure it out. But I do agree that he is trying to tell like better and complete stories and leave little windows. Like you said, we're about to start covering AEW. And AEW is a fed that, like, I really want to get behind. I really want them to succeed. I want them to do the best thing. And here at HeelBook, we're not a monolith. We all don't like the same things. We all don't like the same wrestlers or wrestling companies. That being said, I think like they need to get some more experienced writers in that writing room to like engage us, because the wrestling is there. It sucks for me to see a company just like have the pieces but not have all the pieces, and I want to get engaged. So I hope they do better, but definitely taking a step, and they need to take that step back and like figure out what to do writing wise.
One of the issues is Tony Khan is on record now recently saying like I don't think long-term storytelling works. I like booking for the show. I like booking for the match. And again, the wrestling is there. You just said it. The wrestling's there. The talent is there. And so guys like you and I are going to watch, but it's hard not to think about the breadth of the audience that they're missing out on just by Tony booking what Tony wants to see.
Yeah.
And there's merit to booking what you want to see when you're a billionaire and it's your company. I get it.
Yeah.
But you're also, I mean, you're not publicly traded yet, but you are competing for television contracts, and television time. And listen, all kudos to them. They got the new deal. They got a great new deal, which is great for us at HeelBook because now we have more content.
Yeah. We have more stuff to talk about for sure.
But for me, it's like, again, I'm always going to watch it, but there are small things you could do to get it to a place where I'm more excited to watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it just takes one man's openness to get there because it's not like he's not surrounded by guys and gals that could help him accomplish this.
No, yeah. Let me tell you, like, the mere fact that I think this is for a lot of people on that roster, but I think the Young Bucks should be bigger than what they are, like in a sense of like, if we're gonna tell, like, everybody loves the underdog, everybody loves the American Dream tell, right? That's the thing. Right. And they are like the American Dream. Like, why they are not on Sports Illustrated, like why they're not on talk shows. Like, I mean, like, these are things like, and it sucks to compare to WWE. These are things that WWE is really good at. They'll get their celebrities out there. They'll get their superstars out there to talk to people. But I mean, like, Tony Khan has this story like right in their hand. I'm talking about like kids that came from backyard wrestling who's like, and this is a rarity, like their family was behind, like imagine having your parents behind you as a backyard wrestler. That's wild. Yeah. Their dad was like, well, if you're going to do this, I'm going to build you a ring in the backyard, and did it. He built them a wrestling ring. And then, their ups and downs, like I was fortunate to kind of be there and see, like, when like people would tell them no, or they were like not good enough. And then to see them like, not only be like, get their WWE tryouts and do WWE things, and then just have the door slammed in their face. But to like their triumph is not making it in a fed. It's like starting their own fed that then became a company, right? It's like when you sit here, you're going like, oh shit, this shit writes itself.
It absolutely
writes
does.
itself.
And I totally wonder, like, what form does their story take if they ever are no longer a part of AEW, right? Like,
oh man,
I wonder. I agree with you. They should be bigger. They should be doing more, but they're also kind of heels right now. So it's a tough line and they do have that new kick with who do they team up with for their shoe?
They have like new, they do have new Reebok shoes. And that is a thing.
That's a big thing.
That is a thing. I'm not trying to say like that's not a good thing, but I feel like the heels of WWE, like the WWE heels are more globally like accessible than the boys or the Young Bucks are. I think like for the amount of like work, talent, and the gifts they've given, like behind the scenes and in front of the scenes, like there should be like a bigger, like they should be on the level of like the Dudleys or the Hardys, but they're not. You know what I'm saying? Like,
do you think that's like to do with limitations within AEW right now?
Right, and I think if it's like, if there's not like that goes back to like the storyboarding, right, or the crafting of a story. If there's not a good enough story being told, we were invested. Like, okay, I'll give you an example, and I feel like they're always being compared to these guys, but the Hardys, right?
Right.
The amount of merchandise and material and reading material that was put out there about the Hardys is what put them over the board. Because I remember like reading about them in WWE magazine, and then their storylines on WWE TV. They had a VHS. They came out, the Hardy Boys, and you learned about like their background and how, you know, they came up from like their trampoline that they made, and then like and stuff like that. And that, of course, was put together. Some writers came like, "Hey, we're gonna do this," and I don't think Tony has that. Like, like to your, like what you were saying, like he books for the card or for that show. And the trouble with that is like, you're not giving the audience some people to cheer for, or to like grow with, to kind of like connect this with cinema in a way. This is crazy, but stick with me. So you watched Power Rangers as a kid, right?
Of course.
All right. So, and you remember like Tommy and Jason, all those guys. And the reason why we remember Tommy, Zach, Trini, Kimberly, Billy, Jason is because they were around for, I think they were Power Rangers for like at least 3 years before they changed the cast. However, behind the scenes, the guy who ran it, Haim Saban, was like not a fan of that. Like his idea, which he implemented later on, was to change the cast every year. So there's always a new set. The trouble with that is there's no connection. The audience can't connect with them, and they can't. And that's why the original Rangers are the most popular, because we spent the most time with them. That being said, like if Tony Khan is just doing things for a show and he's not building that relationship with these characters, like,
totally missing out.
You're missing,
totally
like,
missing out.
We don't know why we should care more about the Bucks. Like, yeah, they're talented from what you show us, but why should we care? And I think he needs to write that down. Like, why should we care?
I just don't know if he's assigned any value to people caring about his characters at all.
I don't know.
Evidence says that maybe he hasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you got a new TV deal 5 years in, so maybe evidence to him suggests that maybe he shouldn't. Right. Why should he change?
Yeah, and what can you say to somebody who's making billions of dollars and like, and you can be like, hey, I think we should do it. He's like, nope, I made billions doing this way, so
I'm gonna keep doing it.
I'm gonna keep doing it the way I'm doing. I guess. And I was just like, well, all right. You're always. I feel like they're always going to be in the shadow of, rather than making their own way. You know.
Yeah, and there's a way to be different than WWE. Without being lesser than WWE.
For sure.
Because you can still just start caring about your characters and the stories while still producing the amount and the quality of actual in-ring that you do.
Yeah.
Just adding story to the in-ring.
For sure.
And then you're already heads and shoulders, in my opinion, above a WWE.
Yeah.
Because if you get best of both worlds, then you win. And we win.
Yeah, you know what? I think we talked about this before too. We were talking about like, I think if like they scaled back to production and instead of doing like arenas and did halls or concert halls, right? I think like there's less chickens running around with their heads cut off backstage, and like it's more like you're able to like condense the responsibilities. It's easier to control, right? I mean, so you're still big time fed.
100%, and those are logistical benefits to doing that. Not even mentioning the energy benefits of doing that. If you're thinking if you're at an arena that can fit 20,000 people, but you got two there, wouldn't that energy and that feeling be better if you were in an arena that could hold 1,500 and you got two there? Like, it's just gonna be a better energy situation. And wrestling, so much of it is reciprocity, or however you say that word. It's like the wrestlers are giving you what you're giving them, and that you work together, and you kind of it's a thing that's missing in these arenas that aren't packed, sadly.
So to kind of segue, speaking of the written word, right? I don't know if you've seen it. I haven't seen it. I've just read about it in all the sheets. But have you seen the Joker 2?
Not yet. Oh no,
not yet.
Yeah.
Have you seen the big hoopla about it?
No.
No?
Tell me, please.
Oh, okay.
I did see a headline that said it was awful. Like people were, okay.
Okay. So you know what? And I think it's true. Like from what I've seen, the bits and pieces I've seen. So Todd Phillips, he gave us the Hangover trilogy. And then from there, he's given us other films, but he's most known for those films and the Joker films. But basically, what they're saying is like the wrong audience championed the Joker. Like he didn't get the reaction like he thought he was gonna get. Instead, like it made a couple $1 billion. I guess a bunch of incels like were like super into the Joker, and he just was not about it. He was like, what? And so because the first Joker made billions of dollars, he was kind of forced to make the Joker 2. And so like what he did in the Joker 2 is totally like turn it on its head. Like he basically he took the character that all these like I guess like a lot of incels are the right-wing party, as he put it, like just took it and just like destroyed it. So he made a musical. Like he took this character and just totally like destroyed it. He took $200 million of Warner's movie and made a trash movie purposely.
Wow.
Like him and Joaquin, I guess like the big three were in on it. They got what was happening, and like it was just a bit, it was just like, like you got to see it. So, but like, I can see that. In my opinion, I really didn't like the first Joker. So like, I was just like, all right, I get it. But yeah, man, it's like this huge thing right now.
We should totally talk about this the next time on the show after I watch it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it now. I just thought it was a poorly made movie.
No, just no, it's a poorly made movie, but it's on purpose.
Right, that's what
on purpose. On purpose.
Are there any other movies that are upcoming that you're excited about, and any of the universes that you follow?
Oh man, I've been watching. I've been watching Penguin. I don't know if you've been watching that.
No, it's on. I want to start. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's on HBO. That's been. At first, I was just like, I don't know about this show, but it is good. I do. So like one of my pet peeves in cinema is the why, right? Like I feel like the thing to do is to like introduce a villain and then like explain why he's like that, like in another movie. I just kind of hate it. Like I was just like, just let a villain be a villain, right? But Penguin is like, okay, cool, we're gonna tell this story. So it was more interesting than I thought it was. It's really good. I do think, like, I'll wait till you watch it, but I do think there's a backdoor. They're bringing in a backdoor villain, I think. Like, so they're prepping us for something crazy, and I'm gonna be excited for that. And then, are you watching Agatha All Along?
No, is that another HBO series?
No, it's a Disney Plus series.
I have not even heard of this.
Oh, okay, so it's a continuation of the Scarlet Witch show.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Right? Did you watch that?
Yeah, we did.
Okay, yeah. So like, Agatha from that, this is her like solo series.
Okay.
And then they just introduced I don't want to ruin it for you.
Don't. We'll save it.
Yeah. Watch it though. So like I've been watching that, and like I've been watching more Marvel stuff just because I've like sooner or later they've already introduced one mutant, so I'm just waiting for the rest of them to like pop up. And so like that's mostly what I've been like excited for. Strangely enough, I am not excited for. It's not strange at all. I'm not excited for Captain America. I can tell you that right now.
Same. That's one. I was like big miss for me lately. And then have you got your eyes on some of these Marvel games that are like coming out? 25, 26, 27.
No, what's coming out? Oh wait,
Captain is one.
Captain America and Black Panther.
Yes.
Like the not the gameplay footage, but the shit they put together looks great.
Yeah. I'm excited for especially the Wolverine one because of Insomniac has it, and they're the guys that produced Spider-Man 1 and 2 for the PlayStation 4 and 5, and they're amazing. So I can't wait to see what they put together for Wolverine.
I don't know if did you ever play the Logan game? Like there was a movie tie-in game for Wolverine Origins. Did you ever play that?
No.
It was great, bro, and it was a trash game. It was really like it was good, but it was so like I've been waiting for another Wolverine game since that game, because like if movie tie-in games are like historically not great, right?
Sure.
So if that was the game, if that's what they gave us with that, like I can only imagine what like Insomniac is going to give us. So yeah, I'm definitely excited for that. I did not play Midnight Suns. I really wanted to.
You know what? I picked it up when it was on a deep sale, and I gotta tell you, I put maybe 3 hours into it, and it's just not for me.
No,
I love a grid-based, turn-based strategy.
Yeah.
But this is not that.
No,
it wasn't that.
I think they were trying to like capture the Marvel Alliance audience again, right? Because those games are like.
Those are cult classics. I still play the one that they released for the Switch.
Okay, yeah,
it's really good, but it's the third one. It's not. They didn't re-release it. They made a sequel.
No, they made another game.
Yeah, but Midnight Suns is not where it's at for me.
No, okay.
Yeah,
I
get a little fun out of Gotham Knights. Me and my buddy are going through it right now, but it's a little weird running through Gotham and there's no Batman to be found. Yeah,
but you know what? Like Rocksteady, man. Like I don't know what's going on over there. But I didn't play Gotham Knights. I as soon as they said, because it was like the weirdest thing. So Gotham Knights is its own thing. It has no connection to Arkham Knight.
Right.
That's odd. However, Suicide Squad versus the Justice League, it does have connection to the Arkham games, which is again weird. And both of these games were critically panned. So like, but I mean, in my opinion, I thought Gotham Knights made more sense to be a continuation of the Arkham series than like. Because you never see, I mean, I guess like you get reference to the Justice League in the Arkham games, but not really.
Yeah,
like it just didn't make sense.
They're subtle and vague.
Yeah, it's like I think you go like walk past Quinn, like Oliver Quinn's like in Quinn Industries. That's like literally that's as much as of a hint of there being other superheroes in the Arkham universe, and then randomly we're just like they've been here the whole time.
Right.
So yeah. I didn't get into that one, man, but I hope
it does seem like a couple. Odd choices for your franchises, right? Like you could be connecting them all. Why aren't you connecting them all with this tissue?
Yeah. So, and that goes into like James Gunn, right? He's since becoming him and Peter Safran becoming presidents of DC. They were saying like all of that's gonna connect now. Like I know for sure they said movies, TV, and video games will be part of the whole cinematic. They're all universes. I'm not sure if they're going to do that with the comics yet, but so for the most part, they'll all be connected. So it'll be interesting to see what like the DC games look like moving forward. But like, I don't think they're ever going to get any better than the Arkham series because the Arkham series was just like
I still go back to them. I still play them.
Oh my god, so good. So good. I don't know what they're going to do.
What would you say your top game? What's your favorite game of all time? What would that be?
Yeah, that's a hard one.
Yeah, on the spot too. We didn't prep for this.
Yeah. Okay. So like the first game that I ever played that was like, oh man, games are more than just beat 'em up. Final Fantasy VII, man. That's the very first game I've ever played where I was like, oh, there's more. Like, yeah, I just don't have to jump on top of Goombas. Like, there's more to this.
It's so funny that we hadn't had this conversation before, but that's the same game that I was going to say. I even got a Final Fantasy VII tattoo.
Oh, snap.
Bro, let's go. Yeah, and for the same reason. It was the first time I realized, like, everything isn't just Mario or Tetris or Donkey Kong. Like, this is a whole world.
Yeah.
What is this?
There's amazing. That's so crazy.
I still play it,
bro. That was the first time I was like, you could tell a story in video games. Like this is wild. This is
not even just like tell a story, but tell like a really detailed, intricate story, like one that mattered and so emotional and
and then
intricate.
I go back to play it. Like as I got older, I think in like 18, I think I went back and played it again just because as a kid when you play it you don't realize that like this is such an early game and the fact that these mechanics are in there but there's characters that you can miss, right? So I never got Vincent. I didn't even know this guy was a character. I was like, there's a vampire in Final Fantasy VII? And everybody's like, yeah. I was like, what? So you go back and play it, but like yeah, man, like Final Fantasy VII was definitely it for me. And so it was it for you?
It was. How old are you?
I just turned 37.
Yeah, I'm 38. Okay, so that makes a lot of sense now. Just a truly great game that stands the test of time. And that's evidenced by the remake of it. And now that's another one of those things where guys and people will fall on one side or the other. A lot of people aren't happy with the reimagining aspect of it. But to me, it's like it doesn't replace my love for the original one. It's just a new, updated way to interact and engage with that story. Yes, it's different, but so too am I. So too is life.
For sure.
From that, like, so I don't give it any hate. It's just a blast to play through. And it's cool to see a company appreciate and pay homage to their own IP like that. Although I do wonder how much of their financial issues are from.
Let me tell you, the remake. I blame the financial issues on the remake for one reason and one reason only. I don't know who I have to talk to over there at Square Enix, but why you would remake Final Fantasy VII and not put in a new remastered version of Knights of the Round is beyond me. That's why we're here. like I get it. Seth Roth is back, but we want to see with the updated PS5 graphics, Knights of the Round. Why are you dropping this ball? Like that was the most epic summons I've ever seen as a kid. Blew my mind, and the fact that it also blew my mind. The fact that I had to use that summons twice to defeat Seth Roth. Yeah, that was wild. So, I don't know why you would remake the game and not remake that. That's what we're here for. I don't mind paying $80
3 times
for that. You know what I mean? But just put it in the game, man.
I love that. It's why we're here.
It's like, come on. We want the most ultimate summons of all time. We want to see it now.
Is that too much to ask? I don't think that it is.
I don't think it's
from a consumer to a developer.
I promise you, your sales will go up. I promise.
Period. Well, speaking of having sales go up, we want to invite everybody to follow along with us on our journey here at HeelBook Universe, also over at HeelBook Unleashed, and you can sign up and play with us for free at HeelBook Unlimited. I'll leave the link in the show notes for all that stuff.
Yes.
V, I can't thank you again for coming to the studio. We're going to be doing this weekly. And we're going to be adding stuff as we go. I can't wait to grow this with you.
Yeah, man. I'm this has been fun. Guys, we literally just came into the studio. We're like, let's see what it's going to do. Let's see how this looks. And so we put it all together super fast. And now we're here and I love it. I enjoy the vibes in here, man. And thanks again for inviting me out, man. I love what we're doing so far. It feels great. It feels awesome. The conversation is always awesome. And yeah, man.
It's been my pleasure. And to your point, next week, things will be a little different. We'll have some different camera shots. We're going to grow and evolve as we go. And you guys get to do that with us here at HeelBook Universe. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and catch us next time.